Hello, hello. Let me get my mic on. Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. So today I missed my ex on Christmas. How do I get my ex back? I know this is kind of one of those redundant things about how do I get my ex back, but the question is probably one of those ones that you're asking yourself again and again and again and again and again. And if that's the case, you create new scenarios for the same question, because what happens is you ask the same question when you don't get the answer you want. And when you ask that question, you reframe it in a way where, what about because it's Christmas? Maybe, all those other ideas I had about getting my ex back that were stupid, shitty, unreasonable, and probably wouldn't work because I know this individual really well. Maybe during Christmas, I'll get a pity card. Maybe during Christmas, when I reach out, they'll go, "Oh my God, it's so great to hear from you," because that's what I saw in some fucking movie. But the reality is, it's natural to miss your ex on Christmas because you go to these Christmas parties and you go to these events and other people and other couples are around. Skinner, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, Happy Holidays, whatever it is that you celebrate. Good to hear from you early. So I have some things written out on this topic, and I'll get back to the live stream because I know people are probably, at Christmas parties or different events. So you'll be popping in and out. Maybe watch this later. But, if you're going through it, put it in the comments below why you miss your ex so much. And this is a time usually when you really look back and you go, wow, I wish we were together for Christmas, or I wish we were together for this. I get it. I understand. So I wrote out a few different things talking about this just to get my thoughts together. So I understand you go to Christmas parties and see all these couples that look so happy and it hurts. It's kind of like social media too, right? You go on social media, everyone looks so fucking happy, outstanding. Everything's great. And you think to yourself, oh my God, I wish I had my girlfriend with me. I wish I had my partner. The truth is they have problems too. That's the truth. They have problems too. And just because it's Christmas, they're at a party, they're taking pictures and smiling, doesn't mean there ain't shit at their house that they're going through or getting in a fight. It's so interesting living where I live because if people come here to go on vacation, right? I live on an island where the weather is beautiful during Christmas. There's a ton of people that save all year to come here to have a good time and to, have a great vacation, right? They think it's going to be their romantic getaway and whatnot. And you see people on the beach and they're fighting. What do you mean, Mac? What are you talking about? I mean, literally, the amount of people I see that are arguing and fighting when they're here visiting Thailand, they're on the beach. It's a beautiful place because you don't see that, though. You see them taking a picture on a beautiful beach and you go, oh my God, I wish I was in Thailand. I wish I was at that beach. And you think, oh my God, they're such a happy couple. You don't know the ins and outs. They're having problems too. Not everyone has problems. I'm just saying it's more than meets the eye, as Transformers used to say. And the thing is, why I'm telling you this is because we just assume when we're out of a breakup, like, oh, everyone else's relationship's so fucking great. It's not true. And even if they're having a good period in their relationship, they've had breakups before too, most like if they're old enough, if they're, mid 20s to late 30s, they've had breakups too. So they know where you're coming from in different parts. And here's the thing. It's just one Christmas. You'll get through it. It's tough. It hurts. It doesn't feel great, but it's just one Christmas, right? Every year you get one. You get another shot at having a better Christmas. And so focus on spending time with family and friends and don't be so fucking hard on yourself, right? And don't assume everyone around you is rose petals and wine glasses just because you're at a Christmas party and your aunt and uncle look so happy or your cousins look so happy. The reality, I'm not saying to be pessimistic. It sounds that way. But what I'm saying is don't just assume that everyone else is doing just so great, right? Number 2, don't try romantic desperation moves during Christmas with your ex. If your emotions are extra high, then it's probably not a good time to reach out, okay? And let's be honest. If it's Christmas, your emotions are probably elevated. You're thinking, oh, they haven't called me and I have to call them. And this is a time for you to go, well, I don't want to put myself in an awkward or uncomfortable situation where I go, oh, Merry Christmas. I wish everything is well. And they respond like, yeah, Merry Christmas. Yeah, I'm at a party. See ya. And you're like, oh my God, they didn't even care. Well, I mean, don't put yourself in that fucking position, right? So number 3, what is it you really want? If you want a long-term relationship, a partner to show everyone, or do you want a partner to show, like, ask yourself this question if you're going through it right now during Christmas. Is it just the idea that all these people look so happy around you? And when you go to, grandma's Christmas party and she asks you, oh, where's your girlfriend? You're just melted. It's just one Christmas, folks. Get clear. If you just want to have someone with you on your arm to take pictures with and to show up to events with, what are you really chasing, right? That's not really a relationship. That's just a night. That's just an event, and that's just ego. If you really want your ex back, is it reality talking that Christmas, or is it Christmas? I'm sorry, I got confused there. You saying Merry Christmas will not change their mind, most likely. I don't know. I'd have to know your story. But let's be honest. Is it wishful thinking? Did you see it in a movie? Right? And you know better than I do. You know the character of your ex. Would a Christmas card or a Christmas text or a Christmas call really turn the tides? This is an interesting question. We got a few on deck right now, and I just want to 10 on deck, 2 likes. Thanks. Merry Christmas. Happy holidays to all. Because I'm going to wait a moment. I'm going to ask this question when we got 10 on deck, but there'll probably be a few more. Dylan, how you doing? Tasmanian Devil. What's your opinion on meeting people on Tinder? Do you think anything serious can build up from it? I'll come back to that after I finish with this. Merry Christmas from Peru. Luis, you made it to Peru. That's fucking outstanding, dude. That is definitely on my list, and I definitely want to go there. That's great, bro. Was it when you showed up? Did you just feel? Luis did a live coaching session, and this is one of the things he decided to do, not just out of his breakup for a variety of reasons. But tell me, was it nice just to see your family, go back to your homeland? Yes, I do live in Thailand. Merry Christmas, Mac. Merry Christmas to you. Black Widow's back on deck. Good to see you. Happy holidays to you, Nike One. Good people. I'm not by any means wanting to hear, see, think about that man. LOL. Haha. At least you can laugh about it. Merry Christmas, Macaroni. And Mr. Brian Toledo, Merry Christmas to you, buddy. And Marvin Watkins, who I haven't seen on the live stream before. So welcome. So just getting back to this, if you guys could ponder this question, and this will throw you off for a minute because you're going to be thinking I'm talking about breakups. What was your best Christmas and why? What was your best 2 Christmases and why? And I'll tell you mine in a minute, but just think about that for a moment. You're old enough. What my point is, if this is your worst, can you handle it? Is it going to be that fucking bad? The idea that you have right now, you're going through the Rolodex in your memory and you're going, what was my best Christmas? Well, I would say I'd have to guess. And this, you know what? This is a guess because you'd think it would be childhood because Santa Claus makes, if you celebrate Santa Claus, makes it a little bit more special, right? I'd say off the top of my head, I think I was about 5 years old. I was really into G.I. Joe, if anyone knows what G.I. Joe was. Knowing's half the battle. And G.I. Joe was like my favorite, the little G.I. Joe characters or whatever. And I had a cold, and I remember I woke up and I had like Santa Claus. And Santa Claus used to bring things unpacked because he came down the chimney. I think some people, Santa Claus wraps things for him. And it was like this Army G.I. Joe base and like this Army or Marine boat from G.I. Joe that was just fucking so cool when I was 5 years old. And looking back, you think of it as such a fucking special, toy or gift. And that to me was just surprising because I had the figurines, if you know what I mean by figurines. I had, I don't know, like 8 or 9, but I didn't have any like a base and a boat. I just remember being like, holy shit, this is the best Christmas. Because the things that really stick out in your mind as the best moments or greatest moments, and I've talked about your greatest moment in life before, they usually are a combination of something good, something that makes you happy, but it also surprised you, right? And surprises, bad surprises stick with you too, because it's shock, right? Like that. And it adds to the memory. And so where I'm going with this, you had a best Christmas that probably was a long time ago. And this, you probably had a lot of mediocre Christmases. I know I have. And you've had some, okay ones with good moments here and there. If this one's your worst, it ain't going to be your worst forever, probably, if you live long enough. And I'll add on to that. Next year might be better. It's just one day. It's not that big a deal. So really quick, since the title threw in getting your ex back, let me just go over that really quick. Getting your ex back means getting clear on what happened and why, letting the smoke clear, improving yourself. Where you see improvement is needed, not what your ex told you. You have something you don't like about yourself. You're fat, you're overweight, you want to fix it. Doable. You don't make a whole lot of money. Your ex threw that in your face. You couldn't pay half the rent. Could you get a better job? Could you make more money? Doable. Right? Your ex drank too much and didn't want to go to a rehab center. Can you do anything about that? Fuck no. That's on them. That's their decision. So you need to back off and not take any blame and go, oh, I could have helped them. Nope. That's a situation where it's not doable. It's doable for them. So you want to take inventory, unpack. Hey man, where in my life do I want to improve some things? What are some of the things out of this breakup that she said I actually agree with, or the things that I go, wow, that's a deal breaker because she's just blowing smoke, right? And then when you get to the point where you start improving some things in your life and you start getting some clarity, then you let the chips fall where they fall. Maybe they contact you. Maybe you guys get back together. But you surely aren't going to get together, and I haven't heard of this, where you call them up and go, Merry Christmas. I've been missing you. I just want to tell you I just had a glass of eggnog, and I thought to myself, you remember last Christmas when we were in the snow having a snowball fight and ... Does that work? You know what? Put it in the comments below if you've heard of it, because that sounds pretty Hollywood to me. The truth of the matter is, if it does work, it's out of pity. It's emotional. It's soppy. It's possible, depending on the kind of partner you have. But here's the cold-hearted truth. If it does work, if you do get pity, it's probably a short-term fix, and probably whatever problem you had before will pop back up. Okay, let's get into it, folks. Tell me what your best Christmas was. This would be interesting. It's not my worst, but it could have been even better. Well, we could say that about a lot of things, Black Widow 81. I am sad. I'm Mac. Nice to meet you, sad. Rob IS on deck. Did you see the book link I sent you? Yes, thank you. I've been a little bit busy, not just with the channel, but with other things in the holidays. I appreciate it. Rob, anytime you have a book or something that you think is pretty cool, I value your opinion. So send it to me. I haven't went and checked out the book yet, but I did get the email, and thank you. I will check it out. My best Christmas when I was about 5 or 6. My mom got my first Barbie doll house. That house was so lit. My sister had a Barbie doll house. I remember that. Sup, people? Merry Christmas. Azam. Plus, I had a whole wall, one side of the room of gifts, and the other side was my sister's. I will always remember. And here's the thing, Black Widow. Correct me if I'm wrong. We'll never get that 5 or 6 year. And this is the thing, Black Widow. I'll add. My childhood wasn't always great. I'm not going to give all the details. It wasn't always great. It wasn't always, leave it to Beaverland. Okay. Dad was a bad alcoholic. There's shit that went down here and there, but we did have a couple good Christmases. Some people had no good Christmases, right? But nothing's going to equal when you're 5 or 6 and Santa brought you what you wanted. Even being with your ex on Christmas. Plus, I had a whole, okay. Laugh my ass out. Sounded like you were singing. I'm not a good singer, dude. This whole dating thing is so exhausting. Well, you could take breaks. I had a client that they were using Tinder. I'll come back to that question, Heba, after I go through the whole live stream here. I'll come back to that question about Tinder. But, if you're exhausted by dating, take a couple breaks. Take a time off. Come back to it. Say, I'm just going to give it a break. Don't give up on dating. Just go, I got to take a break. There was a client of mine that goes, I'm just going to take a break from the dating apps. I've had a few things that I thought were going really well that went bad. And then he circled back, I think 2 or 3 weeks later, and he got his fucking hat back in the game, and he's dating someone. So don't give up, but you can take a break, right? My favorite Christmas was last year because my dad and his family managed to come down and join us since he left Tassie after getting a job offer. I haven't seen him about 2 years. Well, that's outstanding, bro. Good one. Serena, Merry Xmas Eve. Marvin Watkins. I would say 2017 was my best. I was with my ex. Okay. I got to hang out with my family and hers. It was a lot of fun. Okay. Well, that was a moment. That was one Christmas. I'm sure there's other ones, but bottom line is this year, if you're feeling it, you're hurting, you're going to be okay. It's one day, it's one time, it's one Christmas. My childhood wasn't either. Mom's worked enslaved, but she made it happen. And that's what I mean. Well, here's the thing. Christmas is a day. It's a moment. And so whether your childhood or your family life wasn't great, it was happy, sad, bad, or a variety of things, in that day, in that moment. And I'm saying right now, the thing about moments, the thing about days, they will change. Without the sour, we can't taste the sweet. And without the sweet, we can't taste the sour. And unfortunately, if you're tasting a lot of bitterness right now, a lot of sourness, the sweet will come if you keep your head up. Take a month off, just do your thing and note it and nothing else. It will be satisfactory. That's good advice. I like that. Coach Mac, when do you tell people it's best they should break up? Again, this might sound repetitive, but I would have to know your personal story. Just to give that as a broad statement, that could mean many things because the nuances within each breakup or situation are different. And so when I read your story, if it's well written, someone I know has this buddy of mine that's visiting right now. He's from Germany. He goes, "Where we?" and Witten. And I just did that right now when he says the English words. It's funny when you hang out with people and they have a different accent and then you pick it up by accent. It's like when I go back to the Bay Area, everyone says hella still. Oh, it's hella crazy. And I'll come back here and I'll be saying it. So Serena, to answer your question, I would have to know your story to give you a tailored response. A broad answer would be question with a question. Why do you want to break up? And are you done? That's a really good question because sometimes people are checked out before they even check out, if you know what I mean. Someone's at the door, but someone wants them to open it for them. How about in my case? Brian, for you, I think you got a lot of emotion there. You're still hurting. So I think if you send a Merry Christmas, I think it'll be well received, but I don't think it's going to change the circumstances anytime soon. Does that make sense? So you're opening the door for you to feel like, oh, wow, she said Merry Christmas and she said she misses me, but it doesn't necessarily mean she's going to rethink her decision. So you could send it. It could be received. It most likely would be received well, but I don't think it's going to change the scenario. And it might hurt you more. But if you just want to send a Merry Christmas because you care about her and Christmas means a lot to you, because Christmas means different things. The last 10 years, me living abroad, Christmas isn't the same for me as when I live in California, when I've lived in California, okay? It's not as special. But, if it's really a special time and you really want from the bottom of your heart, regardless, to send her a Merry Christmas with no strings attached, no idea that you're going to get back together, just be cognizant whatever she responds with probably won't change the fact that she's living with someone else and the reasons that she broke up, okay? Hey, she has reached out twice during Steph Mopel. Okay. Steph is a girl's name, or is that short for Stefan? Hey, she has reached out twice during no contact, and now we were in the same club, and she looked all the time. My friend told me, but she didn't come to me, although her sister did. I didn't make the move. What's your question? When they start asking if I should break up, they probably should. That's a good point. I mean, if it's running around your head for a while, at some point, you're probably looking, sometimes you want to break up, but you don't really have a reason. Does that make sense? You have a lot of things that you've built up, but you don't really have a reason. The birth of my daughter was the best Christmas for me. Well, that's outstanding, Callie Roberts. Thanks for sharing that. Hi, Coach and everyone. Merry Christmas. Patricia, I grew up hella early. Angel Jasso or Hasso? What about if you broke up with your ex and regret it? He is in a rebound 6 months now. She found out he cheated on her with me. He called me crying about her to me after he tells me he loves me all the time. Well, it sounds like he's having his cake and eat it too. The fact that you know that he's in this always gets me. I'm sorry, I'm stuttering here. You break up with someone, then you keep track of who they're with. It doesn't make sense to me. People seem like they're empowered by the fact that, oh, they're in a rebound, so it's some kind of negative thing. They're still with someone else. Okay, that's the elephant in the room. Whether you want to frame that, oh, they're in a rebound, because for some reason, people from the outside looking in always find rebounds to be a negative thing. It's a false relationship. Rebounds can work. They're in a new relationship. That should be your cue to go, I'm out. I'm done. I'm not competing for someone I've been with two or 3 years. I have a little bit of dignity and self-respect. And if you're with someone else, I'm not going to be side piece. So you need to find out, what do you really want, Angel? And, is this something you want to be caught in the middle of and entangled? Because it sounds like he's in the middle, but he's playing a little puppet game. Justin Adams, I happened to walk right by my ex today, and I know she noticed me, but I didn't make eye contact. First time we've been in that close in 5 minutes. Well, I mean, how do you know she noticed you if you didn't make eye contact? Just a curious question. Hi, Rob. We were together for 4.5 years. They have been together 6 months. He thought because I didn't say anything, he could keep doing it. I ended up telling her after some things. She messaged me. So you blew it up. You told her you blew up his other relationship. Bottom line, Angel, take responsibility for your actions. Don't blame him. Don't be a victim. I know that sounds harsh, but the bottom line is you made the decision to be with a guy that has another girlfriend, and then you went and told the girlfriend, look what he's doing to you. Where does that put you in a good position? Regardless, be done with it. Also, how do I help my friend get over her cheating ex? It's been a year and she still is in no contact with him. I just want to see her date and do better. I would say maybe do a live coaching session with myself to fully unpack what happened. She's probably framing it in a way where she blames herself, or she blames all men cheat. And so maybe her father or a past relationship cheated also. And so she's scared to get hurt again. And the reality is she has to ask herself, where does she meet these men? And she's got to, get really clear on what happened and not blame herself or not assume that all men are going to be like this. It does sound messy. When sometimes, Angel, and here's the thing. Thanks for sharing this, because this doesn't put you in a particularly great light. But you look at, look what he's doing. Look what she's doing. Where's your power? Where's your power in the situation? You're acting like, yeah, look what he did. Look what she did. Yeah, look what he did. Look what he did now. Where's your power? Where's your role? If you were watching this as a movie, what would you be telling the actress in your role? Get the fuck away from this guy. Move on. If they don't put any effort in the connection, I would know when the right time is. Anytime the book was good, it might be an outside of what you typically read, yet I recommend it since it gives you a scope on behavior which can be applied to breakups. Rob, I'm absolutely interested in stuff with those kinds of topics. So it wouldn't be out of my scope, actually. Absolutely not. You know me pretty well now. So I agree with Coach Brian, but me personally, I think you should not send it. Azam, I just know his situation because we did a live coaching session, so it's a little intricate to it. I agree with you, but I know where he's coming from. And what I want to say is, when I know someone's situation, psychologically speaking, we don't like to be told we only have one option. And so it really bothers us, especially as independent adults. If I said, well, just don't do that. If I say to you, go ahead and do it, but these are the consequences, right? Then it allows you to make a decision on your own, thinking about the consequences rather than just saying, don't do it. My favorite Christmas as a kid was when my nan and pop got me a remote control helicopter. They kind of spoiled me back then because I'm the oldest grandchild and the closest one to them. Well, they don't always spoil the oldest. It's usually the youngest. But good for you. Remote control shit was just cool, period. I remember I had like a Radio Shack. They even have Radio Shack. Remote control cars. And like looking back, I thought this stuff was so expensive, you know? No early jokes, coach. I sent a guy I knew not boyfriend a Merry Christmas text, and he sent me a very friendly text back that was nice, but I don't expect him to ask me out because of that. My ex reached out to me a few months after college. She wants me to make her beats for her YouTube channel. Is this a direct, indirect approach she still has for her boyfriend? Shit, why would that be taken out of the... My ex reached out to me after a few months of no contact, but she wants me to make her beats for her YouTube channel. Is this a direct, indirect approach she still has for her boyfriend? I mean, honestly, I don't know. You know her better than I do, but I would say that it's definitely a possibility that she just wants you to make beats for her channel. Where that goes from there, and if that's a open door for it to be something else, if she broke up with you or left you, or she was running the relationship, and what I mean by running the relationship, she cared less. Whoever cares less is the one that's running the relationship. And there's 60-40, there's 70-30, but it's rarely 50-50, especially about who cares as much. And but definitely someone that's your ex could just say, hey, can you help me out with this? And it not mean something more than that. Let it go. Life is awesome if you can let it go. Todd Whitmore, words of wisdom. Thanks, TW. Stop being afraid. Yes, I agree, Todd. I let it go. Damn it, I must say it feels amazing. I find that you can sometimes gauge whether rebounds will work or not based on the past behavioral patterns of the girl or guy if you know who he is. The negative patterns rarely change most times. I'd agree with that, Rob. I just find it really interesting that people immediately, I mean, what's the definition of a rebound? It's not in the Webster's dictionary, right? So someone will go, oh, we only were broken up 6 months. Now they're in a rebound. It's like, well, what's the definition of what a rebound is? Number two, what was the situation? What was the scenario? What was the breakup? Who was the person? You know what I mean? It's like I had a situation where I did a live coaching 5 or 6 months ago. Girl was highly attractive, late 20s, great job, great personality, a lot going for her. They have their differences. But her as an individual just had a lot of things going for her. And I'm like, she's not going to be, and she had a lot of confidence. She wasn't going to be alone long. And she ended up meeting someone and they're already together. I wouldn't call that a rebound. I'd call that ready. And some people pivot out of an old relationship quicker, and that's due to them being in a really good place independently. We were together 10 months and she jumped into a new relationship a week after I begged and pleaded for a week and gave up and went no contact. I said, I don't want to be friends. Now she reaches out. Well, I mean, she can honestly just want you to help her with her beats on YouTube. That could be like an honest request if you make good beats and she has a YouTube channel. On the flip side, where's your power? Nah, I don't really want to help her with this. Or if I do help her with this, what does this mean to me? If you're uncomfortable with it, don't do it. You know, I told her I don't want to be friends. If you don't want to be friends and it makes you uncomfortable and she's with someone else, then you have every right to ignore the message and request, or you can just say, no, I'm not good with that. Don't, make a decision on it. Don't be a victim. We don't know what the other person thinks or feels. Never good to assume. I asked if she wanted to meet up. She said yes, but she would have to run it by her boyfriend. If that's cool, I don't know. Man, I'm confused. Should I tell her Merry Xmas and up? If she has a boyfriend, there's no reason to be confused, right? Are you trying to be the side piece? And it's Christmas. That was crystal clear when she goes, oh, if we meet up, I got to run it by my boyfriend. She's saying I'm with someone. If we do meet up, I'm not serious with you, just to not, So I don't know what you're confused about. Update her on beats and keep it professional. The idea that you have to think about keeping it professional tells me that you deep down inside kind of want her back. Nothing worth having is easy. Good point, Todd Whitmore. Gospel. No, I'll let that go. That's messy. I feel like she gave me a BS excuse to reach it because there's so many producers in my area. Why reach out to me? Walked to top. I asked her. But yeah. You're searching for a reason why. Bottom line, she's with another dude. I mean, that's crystal clear, right? I would never want to create a situation. If I had a skill set and my ex calls me up and they want my help with something and they're with another guy, if I still have feelings for her or I'm still a little bit bitter, no, I won't do it. It's not because I don't want to help you. It's because I don't want to put myself in an awkward or uncomfortable position because I still have feelings for you. If you don't, and you're honestly like, oh shit, like I'd have lunch with you and your boyfriend when I show you the beats, right? If that's the case, no worries. It sounds to me like you have like a little bit of inkling, like I hope she wants me because I kind of want her back. If that's the case, the dominoes that have to fall for that to happen, including the biggest domino of them all, her leaving her boyfriend. She just said, well, I have to ask my boyfriend first. Merry Christmas, Coach. Thanks, Justin. Merry Christmas, Coach. Fadila Pose. How are you? I reached out to my ex, tried to call her, no answer, sent her an email, went good. So the email went better. I think you sent me an email recently, Justin. Patricia, please hit the like button. Everyone, thanks, Patricia. If one knows the signs, the outcomes are semi-predictable a lot of times. I reached out after 8 months after she broke up with me on good terms, kept convo cool, casual. Turns out she was traveling for a month. I prefer clear communication, none of that on and off nonsense. That's for kids. Yes, Rob, totally agree with you there. For me, reaching out to say Merry Christmas, Happy Birthday, hello, open door. Once that door is closed, it's closed. And that's you, Black Widow. That's who you are. That's what you're about. And probably your ex knows that about you. And there's no one size fits all. There's no rule of thumb for this. It's how you feel. It's what you know is available. And it's what you know what happened in your breakup. Black Widow, good for you. I just don't feel the need when I'm done, I'm done. That's the statement. When I'm done, I'm done. Once you leave that door open, it's an invitation sometimes to come back. I don't want to ever be anyone's option. That's an interesting statement. I don't ever want to be anyone's option because that's something that you felt like happened in the past for you to make that statement, I would think. She wants to know she has access to you. That gives a self-validation. If she wants you, she would say it, Coach. So I'm just going to come back to the first question you had, Hiba. Hiba. What's your opinion about meeting people on Tinder? Do you think anything serious can build up from it? Some people love it. Some people hate it. My opinion is this. If you were looking for gold, Tinder is one of those places where you're literally you're using a machine that's churning up all the rocks from the river, and all the rocks are going through, and you're going to have to go through a lot of the rocks to find one small piece of gold, and it's going to take work, and it's going to take time. Now, if you're someone that's quantity over quality, maybe Tinder's really good for you because you can meet so many people and you like quick hookups and things like that. If you're looking for a long-term relationship, Tinder's fine. The other ones are fine. It works, but you're going to have to filter through the options. And that's where people get pissed off, or they lose their patience because they start taking it personal when someone doesn't like them or doesn't want to date them, or they have a bad date, or they have a bad Tinder date. The reality is, if you're looking for a long-term relationship, you're gonna have to sift through the pieces of rock and get to the gold. And what Tinder does, it just allows you to do that without the old school way of, oh, I work with this person. Now, what's the difference? Think about this for a minute. Stay with me. Because in my journey of meeting and being with a girlfriend, usually from work, usually when I was in school, because before you date that person, you kind of get to know them, you kind of build a chemistry, you kind of get to know you like each other. And so it's not the same as Tinder. Tinder's a different ballgame. You have a picture online. The picture can be misrepresented. It could be photoshopped. And then when you meet up, it's basically a blind date. And some people, that's fine with them. Other personalities, it's highly uncomfortable. And then what you have to do is realize that there's going to be more dates. If you had 10 Tinder dates, think about this. If you had 10 Tinder dates, maybe 2 went really well. That's fine. Now, if you had 10 dates with people that you worked with and you knew a little bit before, or even let me just add someone that works at the local cafe that you eat at 3 times a week, and you just kind of get to know that person. You're comfortable with them. Probably if you had 10 dates with people that you were familiar with, the execution of having a good date or a good time is probably 6 out of 10 because you already kind of have a picture of who that person is. Does that make sense? That being said, Tinder allows you to have more options, more dates, and it just ups the numbers. But it's probably not going to be as efficient in finding an individual that matches up with you. So that's a part of the game. Do you think anything serious can build up from? Absolutely. Absolutely. There's been plenty of people that have had, been married and met from Tinder for sure. How do I meet good people? First of all, do you consider yourself a good person? Second of all, where do you go where you put yourself out there? So demographics are huge. The reason why at university, a lot of times people break up, the demographic at a university, everyone's the same age. Not everyone's the same age, but you know what I mean? They're usually in their early to mid 20s. Everyone values education. You meet someone in class. The class is a science class. You both like science. You have something in common that you have a teacher. You have the same schedule. So people generally find a boyfriend or girlfriend or husband or wife when they're in college because the schedules are lined up, all those things. When they get out of college, sometimes they break up. Now, how do you meet good people? What do you define as a good person, number one? Where would that good person hang out? Like with any other dating site, coach, how do I meet good people? On Tinder, people looking for hookups. Hookups can lead to good relationships. People with one-night stands can end up getting married. Are there any books you'd recommend that would aid in self-reflection? I want to improve myself and have already decided I'm going to work out more, but I also want to improve myself intellectually too. Sure, Marvin, I could help you with that. I'll just give you the name of the author. I always wonder if it's a C or a Mark Manson, Robert Greene. Those are two good authors. Mark Manson, The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck's a great modern self-improvement book that a lot of people I recommend like that book. Recommend what would aid in self-reflection? Because that's a specific question, self-reflection. Because Robert Greene is more how you deal with human nature and people. That's not self-reflection. The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck would be one. Let me think about that for a minute. Rob, you probably have a book you recommend too. I don't have my phone in front of me because I usually go through my Audible. And I don't know the thing is, when I do live coaching sessions, afterwards, I basically give a prescription of like 3 or 4 books based on that person's personality and their story. And so I'm able to Marvin, do you have trouble being too nice a guy? As a man, and Marvin, what's your age? And what would you say are some problems that you're trying to overcome with women or whatever, financials, whatever. And then maybe I can tailor a book better for you. Hi, everybody, and Merry Christmas. On one dating coach on YouTube said it this way: you have to kiss a lot of frogs to maybe find the prince you desire. Okay, good way to put it. What's up, T-Mac? Merry Christmas, Rosanna. Thank you, Patricia. Elliot Scott Rob. I don't know what that is. Patricia early heard of him, never saw any vids. I'm a good person for sure, but I don't want to just settle. I like a real spark and falling in love. I mostly work, not such activities. Okay, so Heba, what are your interests? What are your interests? What do you really like? What are you passionate about? What do you like to do? Would be one question. What's the ideal characteristics of a guy you'd like or would spark things for you? And where would that guy hang out? He's pretty knowledgeable, Rob. Check it out. Ladies dating coach. Yeah, I kind of thought so. Some of those guys get it right. Others 50-50. I find Elliot Scott is awesome. When to refuse bad behavior, but he doesn't teach you how to twist it to your benefit. To manipulate it? I like Elliot too. Never heard of him. Elliot, what is it? Elliot, simply because some deny certain truths of attraction. Well, check out the video, Rob. I'm on my phone, so texting is onerous. Okay, no worries, bud. Well, thanks for stopping in, T-Mac. Snowboarded all day, feeling tired. Well, good for you, man. You're in the land of snowboarders. Might as well, right? Johnny Sins, don't sin. I like the name. Coach Lee. You're recommending Coach Lee? You're asking about Coach Lee, or your name is Coach Lee? Coach Lee has a pretty big following. I'll go through you're recommending Coach Lee. Okay, so I'll go through a few. Did you do a live coaching with Coach Lee? What do you recommend about him? If you can elaborate, Mr. Johnny Sins. You know, it's amazing when you get comments in the videos and people have these. She said, Coach Lee is an idiot. Well, you're entitled to your opinion, and I'm sure some people say the same thing about me on another live stream or something like that. I mean, his approach on no contact. Okay. Sin is an old English word meaning to miss the mark. What is his approach to no contact, if I may ask? What's different about it? As long as it's not as bad as some of the stuff Derek Jackson says. I don't know who that is. I can't believe how some people monkey branch after 10 years with you. Totally turn off. I follow Coach Lee also, but I only watch your lives. Macaroni. As the great Bobby, was it Bobby Brown, had the song Roni? Did we talk about that in the live stream? I told you my sister used to call me Roni. I'm 20 years old. I'd say I'm too nice of a guy. I'm also awkward around people. Okay. Well, then a great book everyone would agree with is No More Mr. Nice Guy. It's a good read. That's why I asked that question, because that seems to be a big problem for a lot of guys. I think you get some clients of mine that have that problem. They go, oh my God, this book's about me. That would be a good start, that book. Marvin Watkins, 20 years old. This is a great time for you to pick up stuff like this, dude. I would say The Rational Male, if you're 20. Maybe I spelled that wrong. Okay, here's your books if you're 20 years old, Mr. Marvin Watkins. The Rational Male, No More Mr. Nice Guy, and The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck. Mark Manson. Got it. I was a bit awkward, Marvin. But I mean, 20 years old is a great time to read this stuff. I wish I did. This is a great time. Look up Robert Glover on YouTube. Lots of good interviews. Why is it so hard to find a boyfriend? Well, the idea that it is hard is going to make it harder. Your brain actually, your subconscious actually believes the input you put into it. So if you go around saying, oh, it's so hard to find a good boyfriend, then that's going to be true. It's the best therapeutic method. Of course, it's to work on yourself. Okay. I'm almost finished The Rational Male. You know, some people in the beginning, what do you mean by I have everything going on, but still elaborate? Should I read the book too, Coach? You can. I'd love to get your opinion on The Rational Male, because it's very male centric. It's not politically correct. I agree with a lot of the stuff. Some women that would be a little bit uppity might be offended by it. I think it's a great audio book. But yeah, if you wanted to get a point of view that's outside, I would love, if you read that, Patricia, I'd love to get your point of view about it. We're all nice. Are we? We didn't, or else we wouldn't been here. After viewing numerous videos on these topics, Coach Mac McCarthy plus Kyle are two that I've agreed with 100%. And I base this on this year's relationship psych research with no bias. Well, thanks, Rob. I take that as an extreme compliment, because I know you get around. And I mean that in a compliment. I mean that you get around on YouTube and you read a lot of books. You're on a lot of live streams. You're a popular guy. So you saying that means a lot. I appreciate it, buddy. Rollo is the man. He's a cool I mean, I just like the person that recommended it to me. The book kind of changed the guy's life. The guy's a big YouTuber. He's got a big channel, and he changed after he read the book. And he was saying that a lot. I always say with self-improvement or any book, you should never go into a book and just like, oh, that's my gospel, it's 100% true. I mean, you can, but like any book like that, you go, oh, 80-20, that's a pretty good damn book. I agree with 80%. You take what you want from it. But The Rational Male, I think the way he conveys his message is entertaining. It's honest. It's what he believes. He's not trying to just tell you something. And it's well researched. I agree, Coach, but not to find someone honest non-game playing is kind of a challenge these days. See, based on what, Patricia? Based on the fact that you've had a couple guys that have played games. I mean, not every guy's like that. Would you agree? So a lot of times it's where you're coming from. It's where you're meeting these people. Thanks so much. I'm relatively new to this channel and have found your videos to be interesting. Well, I like to be interesting. Thanks, Mr. Watkins. Those are 3 books I would highly recommend. If you're young, Mastery by Robert Greene. Do I have a copy up here? Yeah, I think this is a great book. If you're 20 years old and you're probably not sure what your career is going to be, Robert Greene Mastery. This is a used copy or something like that, but that's a great book. I wish I would have read that at 20 just to get an idea of finding a mentor and finding inclinations and different things like that. Because what people disregard in their breakups, everyone comes back to like, oh, find your purpose. What a fucking broad statement that is, right? Oh, yeah, I'm going to find my purpose. It's like, yeah, but at the same time, like a book like Mastery, this guy goes into details on details about how to actually find your purpose, your passion, or your career, dare I say. Because I'll tell you what, if you don't have something you really like doing, especially when you get in your late 20s, early 30s, late 30s, and you're kind of stuck, it's highly unattractive because you're always in a bad fucking mood. You know, have you ever been around people that don't like their job and work there 40 hours a week? Are they walking around peaches and cream? No. What's your opinion about no contact? It depends on the situation. I'd have to know your breakup story to give you direct advice. But if the person broke up with you and they're with someone else, no contact. If the person broke up with you and they clearly stated some reasons that you don't agree with and that really hurt you and you don't see that changing, what's your other options, right? There's a lot of good content in Rational Man. I don't agree with all of it. Exactly, T-Max. Like someone will say, like, did you agree with this part? I'm like, don't ask me to confirm what's true or not true. When I speak, if you don't like something I say or you want to question it, which would even be better, I don't expect everyone to agree with everything you say. It's like you can find loopholes in everything. He was very recent ones. Rob, last few days, just pick one. Well, I just call it like I see it. There's only one truth in psychoanalysis when it comes to the reasons why things happen as they do. Okay. Patricia, you're right. It's a challenge now. If you look at it as a challenge, you're going to have nothing but challenges in front of you. You got to reframe that. Mac, did you ever think any of your exes might start to miss you and want to get back together? I wondered if that would with me before I sent you my second story. I probably have in the past, but I haven't spent a lot of time on it. And, the last thinking about them missing me. No. Not anytime recently, and not anytime when I had a really bad breakup and I missed that ex. I missed them, but I wasn't like sitting around, do they miss me? Do they miss me? Do you think people stay in bad rebounds or relationships from cheating because it helps avoid realization that they potentially uprooted things to a grass that isn't so green, or any relationship? Well, anytime you get into a new relationship and something goes wrong or unexpected, you're going to circle back to the past relationship and go, oh, she would have never done that. And so whether you stick it out or you don't, that's going to come up a lot in new relationships. I think that's just human nature. The other thing add to your question, which is, do you think people stay in bad rebounds or relationships from cheating because it helps avoid the realization that they potentially uprooted things on a grass isn't so green? It depends on how stubborn they are. Some people really have a big ego and they don't want to let their cards be shown. And other people would go, you know what, this isn't working. I'll just be honest. I'm going straight back to my ex and I just realized what I did wrong. And so it depends on the individual and their own character. I did no contact. It's not easy, but try it. It may work for you. And good night. I have to wake up early to prepare for company tomorrow. Right on, Johnny Sins. Take it easy, buddy. Brand new. I think so. I find that odd that the odd coaches that are not aware of psych understandings may base their opinions on hearsay or worse, beta bias. The worst thing for people to do, I think, in my opinion, is to just offer one size fits all scenarios. Like, okay, if your ex does this, then do this, this, and this will work. It's like, that's bullshit. That's just trying to craft some kind of recipe for every person in a breakup, and that's total horseshit. Met a few guys like this in a row. Unfortunately, not everyone is like that, coach. Bad vibes, coach. Not pretty. In regards to, I don't know, beta bias. When it comes to advice for some of these guys, it's so ingrained, anchored in their belief systems, and they refuse to be open to different views. I agree. I told you, roll up. My ex went back to his ex. Well, that's your clarity that says, I'm not going back to him. I mean, there's people that I've talked to that go, I just wish that I knew that they were with someone else. Then I know I'd be done. I'm like, is that really what you want? Because to them, it's like clear as day. Now I'm finished. It's not like it hurts. It's upsetting. But are you going to ever compete with who they're with now, whether they're bad, ugly, shitty? That's the other thing people do. Well, my ex is with someone that's such a horrible person. So you're going to spectate on their relationship instead of getting up off the ground and going on fucking offense? I think a lot of times it is a challenge, but not always. Screw them missing me, coach. If they really care, they would not have went elsewhere. I think the main point of disagreement is the dual female mating strategy, the part about securing alpha genes, but it seemed to disregard that a guy could be very good looking but have no game. Or vice versa. And turn initially interested women off, but it has nothing to do with genes. I feel like a big reason my ex has been hovering like she's been is because she misses everything it brought to her life, but she knows in a way that in ways that aren't productive. Interesting take, bud. Well, I mean, you don't know what you have till it's gone, right? The great Joni Mitchell never lied. That's a great Janet Jackson song. Joni Mitchell never lied. I can see that. I have to go back and reference that. Okay. What you were saying, coach, about being around negative people, not pretty, it's painful. Yeah, a lot of times when you're complaining about the people you're meeting, just go to the place where you're meeting them. Someone was just telling me recently, I meet a lot of guys in pool halls, but I don't drink. I mean, I don't know. I'm not saying anything about guys in pool halls that are bad, but maybe a different venue might help with your, producing a better guy. No getting along with a narcissist, no matter how you try, you're always wrong. They're always right, but they're the one that cheated. It's interesting when people get out of a relationship with a narcissist, they really hang on to the fact of and this isn't just you, Rosanna. This is an observation I've made. This isn't attacking you in any way. They really like to hammer the fact that that person's a narcissist. It's almost like there's still a cloud over you that this person, hurt you. It's like PTSD from a narcissist. They really like to bring it up over, like that, but the reality is the way you reframe that is like, I'm so happy I got out of that relationship. What if you had a narcissistic boss or a friend? The idea that once you quit that job, you're like, oh my God, I'm so glad I quit that job, right? I had to get away from, once you get away from a bad boss, you're like, oh my God. You're the second person who said that after telling them what she did the other day. Well, I hope the other person's smart. That could be a thing where the topic was discussed as much as it perhaps should have been. You do live in Thailand? Yes, I do. I go home once a year. This year I'm going home. I'm going home actually in 2 or 3 days for 2 weeks to California. Mac, real quick, who do you got tomorrow? LA or LA? I'd go with the Lakers. But I haven't checked the injuries and all that other stuff. That's just off the cuff. That could be a thing where the topic wasn't discussed as much as it perhaps should have been. Rollo is very much steeped in evolutionary biology. You can see it influences the entire book. Yeah, he's basing it on something deeper than just his opinion, right? They have a huge ego, Rosanna, playing games, immature, etc. Stay away from them. That's my best advice, sweetie. Yes, because he love bombed me. Okay. Mask came off, shocked me, Mac. Well, people, we have different elements to our personalities. Carl Jung and these kinds of psychologists talk about a dark side. This is really interesting. I'm going to talk about it in my book, but you've heard about the term triggers, right? Okay, you've heard this term, like something triggers you, right? And subconsciously, a lot of times, if you're not mindful or aware of this kind of stuff, you don't even know what's going on. But have you heard someone say before, I don't like that word? My father always used to say that word. And they're saying, like, when my father used to say that word, that's when he'd hit me. Or that when my father used to say that word, that's when I was in trouble. It's just a fucking word. The same word could be used to someone else, and it doesn't have the same power. Because of the memory bank, it becomes a trigger later on, right? And so what I'm saying is, with the narcissistic behavior, these people weren't born narcissistic. It's due to life experience. It's a survival tactic for a lot of people. A lot of people that are incarcerated or in prison will come out, and I'm not saying all of them. Shit, I don't want someone, coming after me going, you're talking about people from prison? I'm like, no. I'm just saying, in my experience, people that have done time or done that, they can come off a little bit more narcissistic, a little bit more selfish, because probably when they were in jail, it was a required way of living to get by, right? Being a thoughtful and giving person in jail probably doesn't, result in very good things for you. And so a lot of times you just think, oh, this person is just a narcissist, but something from their past created this kind of a person. And what I'm getting at with the trigger things, you could be going out, and then something triggers them to act extremely selfish, or something triggers them to take advantage of your kindness for a weakness. And this is the intricate parts of a human being that you kind of just go, oh, this person's just a narcissist. It's like, no, it's deeper than that, right? And then when you can understand that, hopefully you can have a little bit of compassion, distant compassion, to the point where you can go, yeah, I don't ever want to be involved with him, but you know what? I didn't have the childhood he had, so I don't know how that played out, right? Mac, have you ever explored Chump Lady site? Great question, Skinner. No. What does that mean? Mask came off, shocked me. So many channels on YouTube claim so many exes are narcissists. I think people like to believe that to feel better about the breakup. I agree with kind of that it's rare. I think it's T-Mac. I think it's extremely overstated, and it also makes people feel better to put a label that's extremely negative on their ex, right? This one guy always asked me, "Are you talking to another man?" The whole time he cheated. Well, that people are projecting the behavior that they've done, so they expect you to do the same. I find that Rollo says it like something I knew deep down but couldn't verbalize. Yeah, because of political correctness. So true. I find that some embellish the notion of an ex being a narcissist when it's either very minor or yeah, you can have, I can have narcissistic traits. You could say I'm narcissistic for having a YouTube channel, right? And putting myself on TV all the time, or whatever you want to call it. The fact that he went back to his ex, I cannot trust people anymore. I doubt my ability to read people or situations. I am bitter about, although I don't want him anymore, but I'm over the mean behavior. Well, one person shouldn't take the role of you. There's 7 billion people in the world, and you coming to the realization that you suddenly can't trust people because one person burns you is short-sighted. And at some point, you got to give people the benefit of the doubt, or else you're going to be in a position where you're lonely for a long time. Because if you get in a relationship where you like someone, you're going to be accusing them of lying because you don't trust people. He will get his karma, Rosanna. Believe me, you deserve much better. I think it was his bad childhood. That's psychology 101, folks. I mean, it's not always the case. It could be in his teen years something bad happened. Okay. But this doesn't take Freud, or, I've read some books on, with Freud and all this other stuff. It doesn't take, I'm not against you going to psychotherapy or a therapist. It doesn't take that to realize it. That's what it is people unpacking the roots of the problem, which usually is some event when you were a little kid. I think Rollo's book is very useful to prepare the man for in an LTR to be on his toes and recognize his girlfriend's love is based on many conditions. Was certainly true in my case. I agree, T-Mac. Good review. Yes, I agree, Coach. I think it's a defense mechanism with these narcissists. He probably had a screwed up childhood that's sad. I definitely have a compassion, but I believe they can make an effort to improve. Well, they need to feel like there's a problem first. A lot of times, subconsciously, their behavior, they don't have a video camera letting them know how they're acting, or they would probably be embarrassed. You feel taken for granted. It sucks, honestly, but just work on yourself. Give them a reason to regret it. That's a better way to reframe it. I think all humans are somewhat narcissistic. I agree. I was in an anthropology class. I've said this before. I took a lot of anthropology. I could have double majored in it, which is a broad field. It's linguistics. It's the study of humans, anthropology. It's linguistics, cultural, and archaeology are the three, and there might be a few others, but those are the three main pillars under anthropology, which is the study of humans. Highly interesting shit. And a teacher I had, Stanford educated, one of the simple statement, he goes, it's human nature to take advantage when you can. Now, a lot of people say, oh, that's not true. That's not true. Think about that for a minute. Think about it. Not sure if some counseling would help him, Rosanna. Here, well, he needs to make that decision for himself. Her site is basically an archive of advice on various situations where she helps people who have been cheated on. She goes over different scenarios, never been cheated on, but it's a cool site. Oh, I don't know which one you're talking about, but I'm sorry. Merry Christmas, life goals. I hope your goals work out this year for 2020. Narcissistic is thrown out too often. I agree. He lied to get every woman he had. Low self-esteem. Well, be thankful that you found him out and you are moving on, moving forward, and you learned something. Chump Lady Mac. Okay. Chump Lady. I'll have to look that up, dude. Blue Rivers. What does it mean when an ex and friends you but didn't do the same for his past exes? It could mean many. When people ask me about this for social media, I always tell them it could be many things, and that's why you don't want to be connected to them, and you want to unfriend them first, probably, because you don't know unless you ask them, and then even if you asked them, they probably wouldn't tell you the truth. That being said, it possibly is too painful to see what you're doing. They possibly still have feelings for you, and they're possibly just trying to get over you. Are you going to celebrate Christmas, Mac? Yeah, I'll probably have a few beers with some friends later on. There's a friend of mine that has a restaurant and bar that has a little Christmas thing that I'll go to. But I'll be home in Cali for the New Year's, visiting my father in the hospital, actually. But yeah, so Christmas, yeah, I'll be doing some. I went out last night with a couple of friends. It's not the same when it's 85 degrees out and there's no Christmas trees. Yes, Mac, I found him out. Well, good for you. That's value, hon. The worst thing is when someone stays in the relationship, a victim, and just complains about it. Yeah, look it up. I'm interested to see what your take will be on it. I'll check it out. I believe it's Rosanna. You deserve better. Why would you want someone like this? He would drive you nuts eventually. We wish your father well, Mac. Thanks, Life Goals. I appreciate it. In case someone didn't know, talking about my father had a stroke about 3 weeks ago, and so he's been bedridden. A lot of things going on there. So my mom's dealing with it right now. So I'll be over there for a couple weeks. He did PAT. I don't know what PAT means. P-A-T. It's a stroke. I don't know what P-A-T means. He's about 71. I had to let one go like this. He was definitely egotistic. And that, you know, people, when you start dating them after 6 months, 8 months, you start to learn who they are, right? People change. And what it is everyone's on their best behavior a lot of times when they first go out. And that's why when I tell people when they start dating again, just be yourself. People don't mind when you make minor mistakes, like knock over a drink, or you made a silly comment that offended someone. It's like, going into it trying to figure out the best way and all these other things. People like authentic people, right? They like people that they're like, at least this person's not being fake. It's like, Rob, you like Kyle from Masculine Energy. I don't watch a lot of the other coaches and stuff like that, but like out of a lot of the other ones, I don't know if his information's the best. That's for you guys to decide. That's for an individual to decide. But when I watch him, I'm like, this guy seems like he's acting the way he'd act around his friends. He seems like he's being real. It seems like, he's not trying to sound so significantly smarter than everyone else. He's just giving you real life information. That's what I try to do too. It's like, come from a place that's really my opinion, not something I'm trying to shape or form to sound smart. Another takeaway from Rational Mayo is the context of female communication is far more important than the content. Yeah, I mean, it's just a good, especially at your 20s. I mean, someone that's younger, I mean, it's a great thing to learn. Prayers to your dad and your family. I appreciate that, Patricia. Thank you so much, hon. A person can mask you who they are for the first 1 or 6 months. I agree. Or even longer, Rob, because something can trigger them and you're like, oh, I didn't see that side of you before. Right? Mac, I wanted to ask about reaching out to an ex by email. I sent an email to her, and I was surprised she replied so fast within an hour and was a long email. I mean, you've been apart 5 months. What are you looking for, Justin? I mean, you already did it, so it's done. She seemed semi-receptive. What's your expectation? What's your intention? Are you okay if she rejects you? He was so sketchy. The representative always looks good. Then once you really get to know that person, after a while, shit gets real. My situations, I've had getting to know them better. We just got closer, but it was, sometimes that person that first year is being themselves. And then 3 or 4 years later, I've said this before, they get a new job or a new set of friends. Someone passes away in their family. Done. What happened? You change. They got a new friend that likes to drink on the weekends and they become an alcoholic in 6 months. What the fuck happened? Oh my God. That's not you. That's not you being bad judgment. That's humans. Yeah, I get the vibe about Kyle as well. Like I said, whether you like him or not, someone's told me before they don't like his language or the way I get it, whatever. I'm just saying when I watch him or me and him correspond, he just seems like he's being himself, right? He's not trying to sell a plate of bullshit. Some of these guys are self-serving. They show you who they are eventually. Kyle's all right. You're really rocking those glasses. Thanks, Blue Rivers. Yep, Rob, I'm too proud to message my ex. Well, there you go. Then don't. I would say in my case, one of the reasons I could stay in no contact was probably dignity. Mac, you said something a few live streams ago. Someone said they weren't ready to date 5 months after the breakup, and they were thinking about their ex, but working hard on themselves. And what did you? They were thinking about their ex, but working hard on themselves. What's the question? Life goals? I'm sorry. I read what you said. Mac, how did I not mention this? The day after my ex messaged me, I posted a snap, and not even 5 minutes later, she posted a snap with some guy. I think it was the guy she was with after me, deleted her. Well, that tells you still have feelings for her. And it's not by chance that she was trying to get your attention. Not only that, but more things come to light after 6 months mark. That was my experience. Well, let's just unpack this in a different way, folks, okay? Everyone keeps saying 6 months, 6 months. It depends. Some people, for 6 months, we've been seeing each other once a week or twice a week. For 6 months, after 2 weeks, we moved in with each other. Then it gets real quick, right? It just depends on the circumstances. Living together is so different, right? My intention is to try to go on a date and see where it goes. Relationship was great. She ended it and said it was not ready for a relationship. Well, there you go. Make an attempt at meeting up, having fun, whatever Corey Wayne says, have a good time, hook up, whatever. But if it doesn't work, go back into no contact and do your thing. Jen, Vacaville's finest. With the famous Too Short, dropped the line. Woke up in Vacaville. That sucks, Justin. He got a new truck credit, got things he never had. A new truck credit went to his head. A truck went to his head? Well, okay. Some are very materialistic and narcissistic, not Rosanna. They were happy but thinking about their ex. Do you think staying single for a long period of time and working on yourself without dating is healthy? That's a really good question. It's based on the individual. I think I think at 5 months, 6 months, I think you should start considering putting yourself out there for bad dates and just getting out there, because the longer you bottle yourself up for, it's kind of like any skill set. And I'm going to say this, when you go out on dates, you're building a skill set and how to deal with the opposite sex and how to correspond and how to communicate with them in a romantic or intimate way. And if you wait a year, 2 years, 3 years, you're going to be more and more rusty, and you're going to be more and more weary, and you're going to be more and more worried. If you put yourself out there, and I understand, I mean, for a full year to like 10 months, I was really hurting. I really missed my ex. I didn't call him up or beg or plead, but I was having a tough time meeting someone new or doing this, because I just needed to heal some wounds, work on myself. But I did, if a friend had an extra date, or I did go out with like, a friend of a friend or this or that, and they didn't go well. They didn't go well because I wasn't in a really good place. But I would put yourself in a position where you're at least taking the opportunities as they come and have a story to tell your friends, and allow yourself to be maybe surprised. And the idea that a woman's actually interested in you is a win. She actually wants to go on a date with you, gives you some bit of confidence. If you sit on the sidelines too long, you're just going to forget how to play the game. It's true about holidays being tough. Been doing pretty well the last couple of months, but last week I had so many memories flood back. It's natural, dude. And you're dealing with it, and you're going to get through it. Yeah, you do always. You're number one. Thanks. Thanks, Pat. Pat, do you go by Patty sometimes, Patricia? Yeah, don't be too picky. It doesn't have to be a love of your. It's okay to be picky also. But when you're sitting on the sidelines for 5, 6 months, if your friend goes, "Hey, I got a double date to go on it with no expectations." If your friend goes, "Oh, I know this, this girl at work, and she saw your picture and she saw you walk in when we had lunch and she said you're cute," go on the date. Be awkward, be uncomfortable. It's better than sitting at home feeling sorry for yourself. Because that's how it worked for me. Like literally, people. It wasn't happening all the time, but a good friend would be like, "Yeah, she said you're cute, dude. She wants to go out with you. Da da da. Okay, I'll do it, even though I'm not in a good place right now. It'd be better than staying at home feeling sorry for myself." True, at the time I thought they were in a relationship, so I thought she was trying to cheat, but I thought about it, and she probably just wanted to show she was unbothered by me leaving on her red. Shows a lot of maturity, right, Skinner? You know her better than I do, and the fact that it was 5 minutes later, I think that's what it was. She wants to get your attention, and she did. Another Rolo nugget. He seems to be opposed to masturbation as it drops testosterone. Well, there's a lot of people that are opposed to that. That's a big issue. He talks about that in Models. Mark Manson talks a whole chapter about that. Answering the question about staying single for too long. I totally believe that a person can stay single for too long after 12 years of being single. I have no idea what I'm doing. Well, I mean, it's not like you made a choice. I'm just saying so this is when the question changes. So let's just get to the present moment. You're 12 years out. It's never too late to get back in the ring, right? And if you wanted to do a live coaching and talk about it, Jen, you could talk about the reasons you've stayed away from dating. There's probably reasons for it. Too much drama these days. I just want to have fun on a date. Good for you. I'm good. Life goals. Merry Christmas. You won't ever know until you put yourself out there. You take your time, no rush. Yeah, Black Widow, just no expectations. Even if you expect it to be bad or you're not in the mood, go on the date. Just go on the date. It's better than sitting at home. Someone might, and what I always tell people is maybe it turns out being a contact for a job. Maybe it turns out being someone that ends up being a good friend. Maybe it turns out being someone that, I would never date them, but that was really cool to talk to them and learn about their career. You know, what do you recommend doing in order to assess yourself so you don't steer toward bad habits, like maintaining a state of self-awareness so you don't end up doing things you regret? Well, Marvin, I mean, you're never going to be, everyone wants certainty, and there is no such thing as certainty except for 2 + 2 is 4, because math is pretty certain. But this idea of like, oh, you're not going to have any regrets, you're going to have regrets, bud. You're going to have mistakes, and that's okay. But um, self-reflection is good. Those books I mentioned are a good start. What do you recommend doing in order to assess yourself so you don't steer towards bad habits? If you want to talk about habits, Atomic Habits by James Clear. Great book on habit building. And he also talks about getting rid of. So what I would do, Marvin, if you're talking about that, I would make a list of the bad habits you have and look at where you'd be in 5 years, 10 years if you continue to smoke cigarettes, if you continue to drink alcohol, every night and get wasted. Who are you going to be in 5 or 10 years, right? And find out what are the triggers why you smoke a cigarette, why you drink alcohol. I'm just giving you an example of obvious bad habits. What do you think about guys being sex addicted, coach? I don't know. I don't have a lot of experience dealing with people that are sex addicts. That hasn't come up in a live coaching. Yeah, I don't know. I think it's certainly possible. Absolutely. But I don't have a lot of background knowledge on that. So it's probably based on someone's identity that's where they get not just pleasure, but they also get significance and importance. So if that's something where people give them props, or that's something that some people give them credit, that's part of the reason they're addicted to it. It's not just the pleasure. I was busy raising 2 sons for about 10 or 12 years. Now I don't even know how to date. Meeting people at my age is difficult. Well, then you took the higher road, Jen. No regrets. You put your kids first. You won't ever regret that. You won't ever regret that. So don't be harsh on yourself. And there's probably some single dad out there that did the same thing, is in the same boat, and maybe you'll meet one day. Even if it doesn't lead to a relationship, at least you're exploring your options. Exactly. Yeah, getting out is always a plus. Right, Black Widow, nice to have you. Patricia, exactly. I will email. Yes, I have updated it. Jen, cool. Good things, I hope. You'll be fine, Jen. LOL, I don't know what that's about. I'm glad I got to a point where everything my ex does doesn't emotionally beat me down anymore. I saw the snap and deleted her and went about my day because you got your power. Sex addicts, most won't admit to it. Okay, I'm starting my first yoga session soon. I want to move on to Bikram yoga soon after. Bikram yoga is a different ball game. I practice Bikram yoga. If you watch the YouTube documentary on him, he's not held in a very good light. But Bikram yoga is different. It's hot. It's sweaty. It gets your heart beating. I like it, but it's different than regular. My ex-husband was a sex addict. Found out after the divorce he was a serial cheater. Well, that's probably why you don't date other guys. I think there's a truth to what Skinner just wrote. Sex addiction is a made-up excuse for bad behavior, in my opinion. I just don't know enough about it. I haven't read up on it. I haven't read studies or researched it, so I would just be speaking off the cuff, And something like that, someone would go, "Wow, this research thing." I'm not sure, but I would say that's true in some cases. What Skinner said. TG, interesting to be involved in a live stream now that I'm in completely different mental space regarding the relationship that led me to these streams in the first place. I hope it's a better one, TG. I think what you said, Skinner, and what Rob said is, I don't know if it's 9 out of 10. I mean, that's a number anywhere, but yeah, people are crafty. They manipulate narratives all the time. And I can see exactly what you're saying. Yeah. So someone that says I'm a sex addict is actually saying I'm a victim, right? I'm a victim of circumstances. I can't help it. It's like, well, you probably could help it. Some people have a deeply inherited need for self-validation and can only accomplish that through intimacy. Sounds like an illness, sex addiction. again, as a term or something like that, I haven't read up on it. It's like one of those things I'm like, actually, that's something I haven't come across a lot. And I haven't even had a lot of people go, well, this is my problem. I'm a sex addict. Because that would have triggered me to go do some research on it. All right, folks, we're at 1:19. I'm almost at 1 o'clock. This is longer than I thought. This has been great. It's 23 on deck. Thanks for the likes. I'll put Mac. If you are currently going through a breakup, would you take a break from YouTube? No. I'm able to, at this point, separate that part of my personal life from this. And I think if I did, I wouldn't share that because it's more present moment. But I'm in a really good place with where I'm at with the channel and giving advice. That being said, if you notice, there's some times where I take breaks just for a week or 5 days and I have other things going on, or, I just mentioned, I'm human. So I'm not saying my first answer would be no. I would absolutely keep doing what I'm doing and actually have more to relate to you guys, right? Because I'd have a new breakup in my own life. But I would be able to keep that credit of from my experience, really. Yeah. Okay, Rob. So they have to have low self-esteem though. I don't know what that's. I've read on why life goals. I personally feel like a lot of cheating happens when the one who cheats isn't feeling satisfied in some element of the relationship. That's one of the reasons, but it's not the only one. I mean, there's times out there, folks, let's say someone works at a bank, right? And everyone dresses nice. Everyone's working closely together. They work 40 hours a week together. It's possible for someone to fall for someone at work. And is it right or wrong? That's up to you to decide, but it's human nature. You're spending 40 hours a week with your manager and you're seeing your partner, 20 hours a week after you're tired from work, you're not looking your best. Think about that for a minute. It's not intentional, it's the circumstances. Hell yeah. Everyone has insecurities. Everyone. Insecurities drive a lot of successful people, right? That you look at people that are big time bodybuilders, like the couple friends that I've had that have been like really into the gym and gotten really buff or big. Deep down, they're just trying to overcome the fact that they always thought that they were scrawny or skinny, or they have insecurities to do that, right? I totally understand what you mean, Mac. I think the recent situation was a perfect example. I went through so much at the beginning of the breakup. Seeing her with someone else doesn't hit so hard. And that's growth. That feels good. You're like, you know what? That tells me I'm moving forward. I'm okay. And that's attractive, by the way. That's when, she'll hit you up because she senses that you didn't react to the Snapchat. Looking for validation from someone other than the partner. They're selfish. Also, T-Mac, yes, that's why they seek validation. All right, folks, this has been good. This has been a great live stream. Do you have any closing questions? I'll give another 10 minutes and I got to go. Muscle Confessions and Unlikely Bodybuilders is an excellent book. I mean, another thing, people that I know that are extremely rich. I have a few friends that are pretty wealthy. And it comes from two things. Either they were born into wealth, and it doesn't mean they don't work. It just means they got the recipe given to them early. So they understood how to make money. They got grandfathered into a business or an education of business that was different. Or when they were young, they were severely poor. They were severely, utterly poor, and all their vision was at 17, 18 was to make it and to make money. And now they still have this thing like they don't want to be poor. And so that's when they go for $10 million or $20 million. And you're just like, wouldn't you just want to retire? Like if you have $10 million, wouldn't you just want to retire? And someone would say, well, that wouldn't be enough for me, the economy and all this stuff. If you bought a bunch of commercial real estate, you'd have the income forever. Jake Weary, what's up, buddy? I hope you're well, man. How's London? Haven't heard from you for a while. I'm sure you're doing well based on the fact that I haven't heard from you. But I hope you're well, bud. Merry Christmas. Inside look at bodybuilder insecurity. I mean, it's it's one of those things. Like I said, insecurities can drive people in a good place. So I'm able to go about my day without letting it be burden. I deleted her more, or like, oh, you're still trying to play mind games. Plus, I know her. Not getting to see my life hurts her more. Good night, Black Widow 81. When is your flight, Coach? Saturday. So the funny thing about when you fly to San Francisco from Thailand, you're behind a day. So you actually no, we're forward a day. So you actually arrive the day you leave. It's kind of weird. That's good, Jake. I'm glad to hear it. I'm not surprised. You're good people. You had a lot of things going for you outside of that breakup, and that was a painful situation, bud. But I could see you were going to overcome it. And I'm happy to hear that all is well. I wish you all a great holiday season. Stay safe, Mac. You ever just had a moment where you just grasp like, wow, there's a group of us here who commit to enjoying each other's company? I just had a moment like that. Well, thanks. Thanks, Skinner. No, I haven't had a moment like that. I enjoy this. I enjoy this a lot. So no, I haven't had a moment like that before. But like I've told you before, I'm a very social person and talk to a lot of different people, and so I have different groups or different circles, I guess. And this is one of them. Actually, the live stream is, like I said, it's going to transpire into something else soon. The author of the muscle went from 6'4", 175. Jesus, T-Mac. Man, I started hitting the gym after my breakup because I was a little chubby still. Hitting the gym 6 months later and looked fantastic. I mean, and everyone's different. Yeah, it's a long flight. It's about 18 hours of airtime. Thanks, Coach, for making time for us tonight. Merry Christmas. Thank you, Jen. Thanks for saying thank you. Yeah, it's a long flight. It's about 17 to 18 hours in the air, 2 flights. Yeah, it's crazy. That's why it definitely gets you some. People say they get jet lag. It's a jet lag one for sure, for sure. But I appreciate your comments, Skinner. This has been a privilege, not just the live stream, but doing coaching with people around the world, man. The people I meet and the people that I get to correspond and connect with. I don't want to be a big blob, but I want to be a super buff either. The older you get, you just want to be lean and in good shape. Well, in my book, but I wouldn't mind 10 pounds of pure muscle. Just that. But I mean, I ran into someone that, like I said this on another live stream. This guy's really confident, great looking wife, everything's going for him, and he put on some muscle. I'm like, what are you doing, roids or something? He's like, yeah. I was like, what the fuck? It's just shocking. Yeah, I was always against it, but actually, there's a lot of safe way, and I've heard from other people that's true. But I was just like, wow, would never expect that. I'm around 195, 6'2". Wasn't top. She's another 5 to 10. Me and Skinner got the same sense of humor, huh? What are you laughing about? You have to work out a lot, Coach. What, to get 10 pounds of muscle? Yeah, I'm on roids. Yeah. 6 foot. What am I? 6 feet. I'm 78 kilos. 78. That's when you live abroad long enough, you start doing kilos. It's kind of funny. 170. I'm about 170. The way you just asked him like that, and he's like, yeah. A friend of mine once told me before, he's like, you just get away with asking or making comments to people like that I would never say. And I'm like, what do you mean? He goes, because you just got that grin or that smile on your face that people can't be mad at you. And he was, I was like half joking. And he's like, yeah, I have actually. And I was like, and I didn't pivot out of it. I was just like, really, man, fuck, tell me about it. I was just surprised. Oh, yeah, 129. So this was good, man. This was really good. This is a good live stream today, folks. I will definitely be on. I'll probably be on at a different time tomorrow night, maybe, which would be morning for you guys. Oh, you're all right, coach. You're not overweight. Oh, I don't think I am. If anything, I'd like to gain a little bit. 6 foot 170 is clean. I'd like to be about 6 foot 180. I've been at 180, 185 before. But I'm okay. I'm all right. All right, folks, this has been lovely. I'm going to have to call it curtains.